Hello, and welcome to the first video coaching session for those interested in competing in a turquoise grading contest. In this video, we're going to go through what is a turquoise grading contest, how do you best compete in a turquoise grading contest, how are the contests structured, what aspects are involved in a turquoise grading contest, and what you need to do in order to win a grading contest and how to prepare. Let's get started. So, what is a grading contest? A turquoise grading contest is a competition to find out who is the best at grading turquoise. There is a skill set that is honed and is practiced and is perfected, and this is to bring everybody together who works on that skill set to see who is the best at grading turquoise. So there are groupings of stones to grade from highest grade to lowest grade. And then, of course, we all know that in our world of turquoise, the most important thing to grading turquoise isn't grading the stone. It's not what the stone is. It's not the actual grade of the stone. It's being able to defend that grade to all of the people who think that they've seen better, or that's not as good as what I have, or are you crazy, and actually explaining it to them. So there's a section of the competition that talks about how well you can explain why you've graded things the different ways that you have. So let's dissect each of the different categories in a grading contest and talk about how each one works together to find out who the best grader is. First off, what is a class? A class is a grouping of stones. It'll be a grouping of 4 stones that you can grade from highest grade to lowest grade. The stones will be numbered for identification purposes, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And so you may place a class in the order of 3, 2, 1, 4, or 2, 4, 3, 1, or 1, 2, 3, 4. But you're going to pick the highest grade and then down to the lowest grade and put them in order. You're going to approach the table and be able to have a period of time in order to actually grade those stones. The class will be designated based off of generally the mine source of the stones. So all 4 stones will generally come from the same mine. Now, how do you best prepare to grade turquoise in a competition? The first thing you're going to need to know is what standard the contest is being scored on. What standard is going to matter, because if they're grading and scoring this contest based off of Billy Bob's opinion, then you need to become really good friends with Billy Bob so that you know all of his opinions on turquoise. The standard is going to be the most important category when approaching and preparing for a turquoise grading contest. If they're, like I said, working off of Billy Bob or some random person's opinion of what high grade turquoise is, then you're going to need to know how that person functions in order to be able to grade things according to that standard. Every contest is different. They pick different standards. If they would go with different methodologies like Lee Hammond's methodology or different methodologies throughout history, you're going to need to be familiar with that methodology of how to grade turquoise. And more specifically, when it's a methodology, you're going to need to know the application of that methodology. Because if you didn't write the methodology, you don't know necessarily how the person who did write it intended it to be applied. And so you're going to want to make sure you do a lot of research on how to apply the methodology that they are using as their standard. Or if there is a standard for a competition like the contest that is at the International Turquoise Finals during Turquoise United, the standard for that turquoise grading contest is the turquoise grading system. So you want to become familiar with the turquoise grading system and how it works in its methodology. You also want to become familiar with each of the master stone sets because they're going to be what you're comparing to find out the high grade and the low grade of the stones. You're going to want to make sure that you have those sets memorized or at least familiar enough with them to where you can compare to them in your mind. What are reasons? Like we said, the most important thing is that you're going to have everybody argue with you about what the grade of that stone really is, which means that it is important to hone the skill of being able to explain the grade of the stone, to articulate exactly why you believe this stone is a higher grade than that stone. And so there is a reasons class. Reasons are when you go in front of a judge and they're going to score you based off of how well you can defend and explain your placement of the class. In a class where you are going to be giving reasons, they will give you extra time usually so that you can write down explanations and notes about the stones so that you can go over them when you get ready to go in front of the judge and explain your reasons. Reasons are an important part of doing the contest because that's a skill that not a whole lot of people are actually really good at, explaining why using logic and reasoning of why this is high grade turquoise, not just, oh, I really like it, or, well, it's better than anything I've seen before, or, well, it's what my great granddaddy told me was the best turquoise, but actually being able to articulate specific reasons as to why this stone is a higher grade than that stone. Now I'm going to put up on the screen a practice set, a practice class of stones. There's going to be 4 stones put up. They are all of the same mine. Now I'm going to ask you to pause the video and you grade them in your style. Figure out which one you think is the highest grade, the next highest grade, the third highest grade, and the lowest grade. Once you figure that out, start the video again and we can work through how somebody would approach this class at a competition. All right, now let's look at how we would place this class at a competition. So first off, this isn't a competition, and this is a photo, not actual stones, which means we're not going to be able to see the backing of the stones, the thickness of the stones, and we don't know that these colors are accurate to the stones themselves. And that's all just the weakness of doing a video with pictures. And so we're just going to all agree that these stones are, the color is accurate, and grade off of the picture and not really care what the stones themselves look like. We're going to go off the information we have in this photograph. Then this photograph does not include all of the grades of blue gem. It's going to include 4 random stones pulled out of a bag that have blue gem turquoise in it. That is the way that most competitions are going to be done. They're just going to get 4 stones that are all the same mine, and they're going to put them into the competition set together. So we don't need to find the best stone, the highest grade blue gem stone that ever existed. We need to find out which of these 4 stones is the highest grade in this class. And the next highest grade, and the third highest grade, and the lowest grade. So in the approach of the class, we're going to grade the differences, not the similarities. So all of the stones are blue gem. They're all blue gem. They're not green blue gem. They're all natural. They are all backed, and none of them have had filled matrix or dyed matrix. So we're not going to grade those categories because they're all the same from one stone to the next, which means they don't matter. They're not going to help us dictate which stone is better than the others. So then we're going to look at these 4 stones, and there's something about the 4 stones, 1 or 2 or 3 of those stones, that will pop out in our face when we first look at it. The first thing I notice is that number 2 is extremely pale and is way paler and lighter than the other 3 stones. And then the next thing I notice is that number 1 is a poor cut and bad shape. And that information is going to go in my back pocket so that I can use it later as I finish grading this class. Now that I've got my initial reactions, then I'm going to go stone by stone and figure out what each stone is. What are its positives and its negatives? So number 1 has a dark color. It has a bad cut. It has a bold matrix. It has nice zat. And it is a high carat. Then number 2 is a pale color. It's a nice shape. It is a low grade matrix, a poor zat, and a medium carat weight. Number 3 is a medium color, a nice shape, a low grade matrix, and a good zat with a medium carat weight. Number 4 is a medium two-tone color. It has those little patches of pale blue inside of the darker blue. It is an okay cut. It could be better in its shape. It's the lowest carat weight in the class. It's a low to mid-grade matrix, and it's a mid-zat. So now we compare one stone to the next. So depending on what standard the competition is working from, you're going to try to grade to that standard and compare these stones' categories and qualities one to another. So this is a long list of categories that could be graded, and depending on the standard, might need to be graded. The color, the matrix, the zat, the carat weight or the size of the stone, the cut of the stone, the backing, which in this, because we can't see the backing of the stone, we're not going to grade it in this video because it doesn't matter to this picture. The hardness, where you can't test the hardness in a picture on your computer screen, don't break your computer screen. Don't test that. We can't test the hardness, and most competitions probably aren't going to let you test the hardness, because if they have 80 contestants that all bring their Moe's kit and start scratching stones, that's probably not the best way that they're going to want the competition run. Same thing with density. They're probably not going to want everybody to bring a tub of water so that they can test the density of the stones. And in the picture, we can't test the density of the stones. The mine source, they're all the same. And the condition, they're all the same. They're all natural. So in the color, the matrix, the zat, the carat weight, and the cut, we're going to look at how those things all play in and compare to each other. So in the color, 1 has the highest color in the class, followed by 3, then 4, and a very distant 2. When we talk about matrix, they are all a very similar grade of matrix. They're all in like that mid-low grade matrix. But they're all very different styles of matrix. So if I had to rank them, which that is the whole point of this exercise, I would say that number 1 has a bolder matrix that actually adds to the stone. So I'm going to put that higher, then followed by number 4 that has a very consistent, nice pattern to the matrix, followed by number 3, and then number 2. In the zat scores, I'm going to say that 1 has the strongest presence on the page. So I'm going to say that that has the best zat. Then followed by number 3, number 4, and finally number 2. Then we get to carat weight. This is pretty simple. If you look at the carat weights listed, you have number 1 is the highest carat weight. Then so on. The issue is number 1 and number 3, you could ding them on the cut because it'll make them lose carat weight if you recut it to be a better shape. So number 2 is actually going to be the best cut. Then number 4, 3 should have been cut smaller to get rid of that blotch of matrix on the top right-hand side. And then number 1 needs to be a better shape. Now, when you compare the stones one to another, you start to notice which stones are going to be named at the beginning of all of your statements and which ones are going to be named at the end. So the only time number 2 is listed at the beginning of any of my comments is on the cut, which we know that the cut is not the most important category. Number 1 is actually going to reach the top of my class 3 out of these 5 categories. So then I'm going to say number 1 is the best stone in this grouping. Then number 3 is after that. Number 4 is after that. And number 2 is the bottom. So I would say officially, I place this class in the order of 1, 3, 4, 2. Now, when we get to the reasons section of this video, we'll explain how you take all of that logic of how you place the class and turn it into an explanation to tell the judge your reasoning behind placing your class this way. So, reasons are your opportunity to defend your placement. Explain why you placed the class the way you did. There are different components to reasons, and when done well, you can actually take a poor placement and turn it into a high reason score because you explained extremely well what you were thinking when you placed the class. So what are those components? The components are going to be the class name. You're going to need to tell the judge which class they're talking about. So like this, you would say it's the class of natural blue gem stones. Then you want to tell them your placement, and you want to be clear. I placed this class in the order of 1, 3, 4, 2. The next thing you're going to do is talk about the overall top stone. When we talk about the top stone in this class that we were doing, that would be number 1. We're going to want to use words like best, nicest, and most. You want to use absolute terms, not nicer, it's the nicest. It's not better, it's the best. Next component is something called a pair. A pair is going to be a grouping of 2 stones out of the class. So we have a top pair, a middle pair, and a bottom pair. So in our top pair in this class, we would have stones 1 and 3. So you would first start in your pair by mentioning which stones are in the top pair, and then you're going to compare them. So you're going to explain why stone number 1 is better than stone number 3. Then you're going to have something called a grant. This is actually the reverse. You're now going to grant things to stone number 3 and say that stone number 3 is actually better than stone number 1 in these categories. The last part of a pair is when you confirm that the pair is placed correctly. So you would say, even though I'm granting these categories to stone number 3, stone number 1 is still the better stone because of this. Or even though stone number 3 have these qualities, that is not good enough to be the better stone out of this pair. So you're going to do that on your top pair. Then you're going to do the same concept on your middle pair, compare, grant, and then confirm. And on your bottom pair, you're going to compare, grant, and confirm. Then you're going to go to your bottom stone overall. And this is where you make the point why this stone is the worst stone in the class. Then you're going to repeat the class name, you're going to repeat your placement, and then you're going to say thank you. Depending on which competition you're going to, they will have different time rules and time constraints for how long you're supposed to be giving reasons. Some contests have minimums and maximums. Some of them only have maximums. It just depends on the specific rules at that contest. So now that we know the components of reasons, let's put this class of blue gem stones into a reasons format. Today, I place this class of natural blue gem stones in the order of 1, 3, 4, 2. I start the class off with number 1 because it has the best color, best matrix, best size, and the best ZAT in the class. In my top pair, I place 1 over 3 because 1 has a darker color, a more prominent ZAT, and a better matrix than stone number 3. I will concede that stone number 3 has a more usable shape than stone number 1. However, that is not enough to have it top the class today. Moving into my middle pair, I place 3 over 4 because 3 is a darker color, a heavier carat weight, and a more intense zat. I will fault 3, however, for its matrix. The stone should have been cut smaller to remove that large matrix spot in the upper right. Consistent matrix is where 4 excels, but I would like to see a darker, more brilliant color for 4 to be over 3 in today's class. In my bottom pair, I place 4 over 2 because of its brilliance in color, consistent matrix, and overall better zat. I do recognize that 2 has a higher carat weight and better cut, but that is not going to be enough to move up in this pair. Due to its pale color, poor zat, and limited matrix, number 2 will round out my class today. For all of these reasons, today I have placed this class of natural blue gem stones in the order of 1, 3, 4, 2. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking the time to join us today to learn about how to compete at a turquoise grading competition. If you'd like to learn more, there is a turquoise grading contest handbook on the Turquoise United website under International Turquoise Finals, and we will be posting more videos with more practice classes so that you can get ready for your next competition. Thanks for joining us and have a great day.